Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod, here to talk about Survivor Season 46, Episode 1, titled This Is Where Legends Are Made. Before I dive in, I'm so happy to be back talking about another season of Survivor. For those who are back for a second time, welcome back. First time viewers, welcome. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the content. And here's something new for anyone who doesn't have Paramount Plus. If you want to watch this premiere episode, I put a link in the subject of the video so you can get started with Paramount Plus for free. So let's get into it. We open to a whole soliloquy from Tevin, overscoring gorgeous shots of the other players looking their absolute worst. The survivors ride in on boats and we meet Banu,
from Slumdog to Survivor, baby!
Jess,
I know I'm a little odd,
and Hunter and Charlie, who have a lot in common.
If people bond over being huge Taylor Swift fans, I won't have that.
Got my Taylor Swift socks, Eras Tour merch.
After a break, a back shot of Jeff that doesn't sound like bongos, and he greets them. Jeff asks the important questions.
Who vomited?
I know Jeff was talking about positivity all week and not wanting villains, but Jeff really gives a negative villainous speech here.
You all right now believe you can win this game, but it's simply not true. There is at least one of you that cannot win, no matter who you go to the end with.
Interesting to note, Jeff doesn't ask anyone Matt questions. He introduces the purple tribe, Yanu. By the way, this color purple is so pretty. The green tribe, who's barely wearing green, is Sigu, and Jeff announces the orange tribe as Nami, which sets Soda off. They start with a reward challenge. In pairs, they have to crawl under a net to get pieces that will build a podium to get their flint. The first tribe to finish wins the tribe supplies. The second tribe gets to choose between Sweat and Savvy, leaving the losers with the other option. The stakes for this seemed very low, and it seems like this challenge only exists to get them covered in mud for the promo shots. They get started with many of them struggling to see because they have mud in their eyes. Maria impresses Jeff by carrying pieces on her back. They all get to their puzzles around the same time, but Orange gets done first, with Tevin getting the ring and winning the reward for the tribe. Jelinski leaves his puzzle to try to copy the Orange puzzle, but it's too late because Charlie gets the flint for Green. The Green Sigas choose the Savvy challenge, sending Purple Yanu to do the Sweat. At Yanu, the Sweat challenge is taking laps with water buckets to fill urns with seawater. They end up choosing Q and Jelinski to do it. Q shares that he's one of 17 kids and is a successful real estate agent. Back at camp, Banu shares that he grew up in a hut in India and now he's a US citizen, which bonds him with the women of the tribe and the local fruits.
Sweet papaya.
And then they eat ants. At Green Siga, two players need to do a really difficult looking logic math puzzle. Ben and Charlie volunteer. I honestly still have no idea what they're supposed to do. At camp, Maria and Tim bond over having kids, but Maria doesn't want to play the mom role this season.
Mommy is gonna lie, cheat, and steal. There's only one way to win, and that's by taking everyone else out.
The show edits this puzzle to make the guys seem like dummies who can't see the obvious hints in the puzzle, but this truly was a death sentence, and they fail the Savvy challenge. At Nami, they're having a great time in the water, and Liz is bragging.
I've owned 4 companies. I'm pretty awesome.
Huh. Soda makes the first fire of the season.
We had a roaring flame.
Back at Yanu, the Sweat challenge is so hard it breaks the fourth wall. Jelinski doesn't think they can complete it and decides that they should quit against Q's wishes, and he throws the hourglass. This was littering. Q is not happy and sees Jelinski as a quitter. At Siga, the tribe is supportive of the Savvy failure, and Ben has a good attitude and is trying to keep everyone in good spirits.
Ben is like the vibe god.
He gives us confidence in ourselves.
We're surviving.
Jem and Mariah bond over being nerdy, and Mariah tells us that she struggles to make friends, but she seemingly makes a little alliance with Jem and Maria. She says,
I've made new friends. It feels incredible.
And in my head, I'm just like, oh no, I feel like maybe she didn't make friends. At Yanu, vibes are good and fun. Kenzie is being a social butterfly, making deals with everyone on the tribe.
I'm the queen of the tribe right now.
And I'm just like, oh no, maybe she isn't the queen bee. Kenzie feels like Jess isn't down to talk game with her and reports back to Tiffany about Jess, saying that she, Tiffany, Jelinski, and Q are a 4-person alliance. At Nami, a musical moment.
Building me a home, this earthly house.
Hunter doesn't like the singing, but decides that working with Tevin will help him in the game. They bond over loving Andy Griffith, and there's a silly edit of them bonding. Tevin tells us he's an actor and he's acting his way through the game. At Siga, the girls decide to recruit Swifty Charlie into their alliance and call themselves Charlie's Angels, so they approach him and he's down. Tim sees this and lets his problematic flag fly.
I'm all about women empowerment, but
I'm gonna stop you right there, buddy. I've heard enough. At Nami, Tevin calls Venus a princess, and she decides she needs to start playing hard, so she starts looking for an idol. Randon catches her searching and wants to expose her to the rest of the group, so he goes to Soda and calls her a Parvati Light, but Soda doesn't like a rat, so she tells Venus about this.
But like, how dare you assume correctly that I was being sneaky?
At each camp, boats arrive, and they have to send one person on a journey. Jelinski, Maria, and Tevin go on the journey.
This is where the legends are made.
Oh, he said the thing. They have to play a game with 3 cards. One person will get a torch, one has a vote, and one has a skull. Basically, the 2 other players have to convince the torch player that they have the vote. Maria gets the torch, Jelinski gets the skull, and Tevin gets the vote. So basically, if Jelinski can trick Maria, he gets an extra vote and they both lose their votes. And if he doesn't, they both get extra votes and he loses his. So Jelinski and Tevin are both trying to convince Maria, and they both come off like bad liars, even though Tevin is telling the truth. Maria decides to straight up threaten Jelinski, saying that if she catches him lying, she's going to tattle to her team, and he instantly folds, admitting that he's lying and kind of blowing all the fun of this game. I think the producers wanted this to be like a traitors roundtable. So Tevin and Maria get extra votes and Jelinski loses his vote. Jelinski gets back to his camp and explains what happened to his tribe, and they hate hearing this sad tale. They're incensed that he lost his vote, especially Banu.
This is Survivor. You cannot give up like that. You gotta dig deep. Hello?
Back at Siga, Maria tells them about her extra vote, and Tim is pressed like a misogynist panini. At Yanu, they have a terrible night's sleep, especially because their shelter collapses on them. Jess says that her ADHD is making her mess up and lose her things, but she's making people like her just by being herself. Tiffany finds a beware advantage with Kenzie, and they find a locked box that contains the idol and says she'll get more instructions on how to get the idol out of the box if they lose an immunity challenge. They tell Q about the box, so these 3 seem to be the real 3 alliance on the tribe. Their immunity challenge looks like a doozy. They have to race to the top of a ramp to untie the cutest giant gecko, and they have to navigate through obstacles and solve a giant puzzle. Jeff reveals the immunity idols that look like they're saying we saw you from across the bar and like your vibe, and they get started. The tribes are neck and neck, but again, the geckos are so cute. Jeff is also very strict that the geckos need to be face down and forward facing because we can't miss a single moment of these majestic creatures crawling through the challenge. Nami tribe pulls far ahead, putting Soda and Venus on the puzzle. Siga gets to the puzzle second, putting Mariah and Maria on it, and Yanu puts Jelinski and Jess on the puzzle. Nami then Siga end up winning the immunity, and Yanu is going to head to tribal. They weren't even close, and Jelinski frustrated Kenzie along the way for not listening to her. Back at camp, Tiffany tells the other players she wants Jess out. In the shelter, Jelinski tells Jess that they're the targets, and Tiffany and Kenzie find a puzzle they need to figure out to get a key to the box that has the idol in it. So Tiffany goes on a whole adventure.
In the shallow waters at the point. What is the point? That looks pointy.
Tiffany finds the key at the pointy point and fully sprints across the island to open her box and get her vote and the idol. Q tells Banu that he wants Jelinski out because he has bad work ethic. The 4 deciding players debate their decision, and it seems like they're weighing out Jess's smarts against Jelinski's strength. They head to tribal, where Jess says the hardest part is her lack of sleep. When asked, Q and Jelinski avoid talking about quitting the sweat challenge, and Jeff isn't having it, pressuring Jelinski to own it, and once again he folds.
You quit.
You're right. We quit the challenge.
They bring up Jelinski giving up his vote, and they all are obviously resentful with him over it. When we get to her, Jess struggles to form sentences, again saying her brain is messed up from no sleep. Jelinski makes an almost good plea to the group.
I will never, ever give up in a challenge, except for the sweat task.
So they head to vote, nobody plays their shot in the dark, and Jelinski is voted out unanimously. So let's talk about this player who had so much potential. I put him in all my drafts, and now I'm going to be a big lahoozer once again. Firstly, I like his voice. He sounds like a hidden identity in a documentary. Talking about his game, he comes in, tries to cheat in the reward challenge, but fails at that. Then he doesn't even try to finish the sweat challenge. If he would have tried, he could have at least had a bond and brotherhood with Q, but he loses Q's respect there. After this, the girls don't seem to care that much that he quit the sweat challenge, but he loses their respect when he fights to go on the journey where he should have just let someone else go, and he completely fumbles that. Then he's in point position in the immunity challenge and he messes that up. Then he gets back to camp, and even Jess is like, why are you laying in the shelter? Shouldn't you be strategizing? And he spends the tribal council insensitively joking about things he did to piss everyone off while they're still salty about it. So overall, this is one of the most active tanking of your own games in the history of Survivor. But somehow I still don't think he's a terrible player. I think he wins a first boot season if that were to ever happen. Unless if Sonya's on it, but we'll talk about that later. Overall though, this was a great premiere episode, way better than last season. It was 2 hours, a long episode packed full of content. We got a journey, which is cool because the journey last season was cut, and the messiness from Jelinski made it fun, and nobody quit the game, which is good. So that's all I have to say about this week's episode. Let me know in the comments, who do you think is playing the best game right now? Also, because we hit my subscriber goal last season, I am going to do the Survivor Borneo retrospective series that's going to start next Monday. I'm going back to season 1, episode 1, and recapping it just like I did today. So subscribe so you don't miss it. Also, if we can get to 1,000 subscribers by April 1st, I will commit to doing Australian Outback. So I'll be back Monday with that, and then Wednesday for another episode of Survivor 46. Until then, have a nice weekend. Bye!